Alright, we're taking another look at our YouTube channel, but in this video what we're going to take a look at is this section, live chats we've joined. So as you can assume, these are a playlist, a list of the channels who have had live conversations and have invited us to be on the panel. So whenever I'm in a live conversation, I'll thumb up the video, of course, and then add that video to this playlist. Then we display the playlist here at the top of our YouTube channel so that 167,000 people have at least the opportunity to check them out. They'll get a link to the show as well as the channel that hosted the show. Most of these are our friends over on GunChannels, although we are occasionally invited to discussions on people that don't go to GunChannels. So usually open to jumping in if I get an invite, and we add the show here so that we can let people know about it. So I'm not sure how many people actually go to our main YouTube channel, so I wanted to mention that to start off with, but really what I'd like to do is dig in and take a look at and focus on some of these channels. So this is a list that's chronologically backwards, so it starts with Saturday and goes to Friday and so forth. So last Saturday I was in a show with hosted by Rick out of Rhode Island, Rick's Life as I See It. And on Saturdays he does this show, and on Wednesdays he does another show, Rick's Shooting with the Disabled, and he's on his way out of Rhode Island to another state, and I would encourage you to check out his shows and follow along on that adventure. Me sharing all that with everybody. We got Clover Tack, a prolific live chatter. Clover does 3 shows a week or more, depending on if you're one of his Patreon supporters. This was his Friday show, which he features the industry. He has manufacturers on, instructors, various people he's met through his travels who are in the industry, and it's great because he's bringing people on a lot of times who aren't necessarily internet savvy, so he's bringing people on to the internet as well as giving us some insight to their machines or their methods. So Clover does a lot of neat shows. You're going to see him in this list quite a bit. I'm often a member on it. I'm honored to do so. He always runs a really good show with good panels. Next up, Budget Guns and Gear is a relatively new chatter, but he's coming out of the gate strong. You can tell just from the thumbnails and stuff. That's a pretty good indication of how well he runs the show. Talks about politics and 2A issues, has a decent panel, and brings a good discussion up. We got another one from Clover Tack. On Thursdays he does a show for content creators, people who are creating or interested in seeing how content is created, right? Talking about cameras, software, platforms, trends, just general things like how to do a thumbnail or how to compose a picture, just interesting stuff. Usually the topics come from issues of the day, stuff that's relevant, or from questions that come in. So again, one of the best parts about this new media, bringing information from the bottom, from the group up, is that everyone's able to participate at this level in the conversation, and when good ideas bubble up, they get seen by the next level, who's a little bit consolidated but a little bit bigger reach, and then the best ideas get to bubble up again. And Clover's one of the people who's responsible for a lot of those bubbles, those good facets or good ideas bubbling up to do good. Next we got Yankee, a friend of mine, who has a show every other Thursday with myself and Matt, Never Enough Ammo. We've been having this show, we've been chatting together online weekly for more than 5 years. We've literally been doing live conversation about guns longer than anybody, I can guarantee you. We were doing it before there was YouTube, and the very first day they offered the live chat to my channel, we were online talking about guns, and we haven't stopped. We never stopped at all. We started that first day since we were already familiar with doing consistent shows or shows on a weekly basis. We just took the YouTube in stride and continued doing live shows. That was back in 2012, I guess. Next we got C4. Anyways, Yankee does a show every other week, and if you haven't seen that one, then check it out. Yankee's definitely an interesting character, and the three of us hopefully bring a nice well-rounded opinion of some topics of the day. C4 Defense, Sarge, is another relatively new chatter, but again, bringing an interesting panel together on good topics, and he runs a decent show. So, been a pleasure to participate in his shows. I want to take a moment and thank my Patreon supporters, the people that allow me to have the time to jump into so many of these shows. I would not be able to do that if it weren't for your financial support, so thank you for that. Really am grateful. Next we have Matt, Never Enough Ammo. He's been doing a regular show on Mondays, well, on Wednesdays originally, and now on Mondays as well for at least 4 years, twice a week. Gets together, talks about nerd stuff on Mondays, which is great for keeping the community together on topics that aren't always necessarily serious. It's been valuable in the past when it can be pretty discouraging when the media is just brute force, shoving opinions down people's throats, and it gets tough to be a gun owner. Matt's Monday shows give us that release in tension sometimes, so it's a valuable show. It's fun to watch, even though they always talk about zombies on it. He does brackets, he does top 5 stuff, he's always keeping things interesting, and he's just able to bring a panel together of random people. Almost anybody can jump into his shows. He continues to pursue that with his, I don't know what he calls them, tolerance shows or something, where he brings all kinds of people in who are not necessarily gun people, but have different opinions from each other, and he's bringing those people together, using his talents as a live show host to do some stuff that's a little bit different, and that's what it's all about. Experiment and collaborate. So Matt's over there doing that. That was probably a Wednesday show, probably talking about politics. Next up is Clovertack again, with one of his Friday shows. We were talking to Mike, who's an interesting guy as well. He's on many shows. I don't know if he's done his own specific show yet, but I wish he would. I think he could bring a lot to the table, a lot to the conversation. Next we get Ghost, who's been busy now, otherwise you'd see his name in here more as well. He often invites me into his panels, and I appreciate it. He runs another tight show, again a little bit different flavor than everybody else, but well produced, and just, he's a Marine, and you can tell he's just attacking the internet, and I hope that he's an inspiration for people who don't necessarily need to have everything given to them. If they're willing to work for it, follow Ghost's example. He's living it. He is kicking butt on so many platforms and consistently improving his production value. Really interesting to watch his shows, and again, it's been an excellent opportunity just to be part of them. Ellis, Outlaw Hatfield from South Carolina, and running shows on Mondays. His shows are so close to mine. I'm rarely able to jump onto his shows, so I'm glad it was able to show up in the list, because they are rare, and I don't get to jump in because his shows butts up to our nightly podcast. But I'm often in chats with Ellis. He's a hoot to talk to and a good guy. Next we get down to Midnight Range, a guy from Pennsylvania doing a consistent Sunday night show, bringing some other aspects of our interest into the mix, namely food, and again, keeping the community together, giving us a place to release some tension once in a while, and keeping things interesting and experimenting with stuff. So at the same time, bringing up relevant 2A topics and bringing them up on a Sunday, when sometimes I think it's a better time to get people together for those conversations. I'm just going to scroll through now. There's 375 videos in this list. This is by no means all the live chats I've been in, but these are the live chats that are being put on by people who are doing produced shows on a consistent basis. So I want to promote those. Here's Jelsmila. Hopefully he'll start doing some more shows. Potatoes does an evening show where people can jump in and have kind of a loose conversation in the evenings, a way to unwind, and literally all night long on GunChannels till the wee hours of the morning when the early shows start up. So a little bit of everything here as you scroll through the 375 videos in this playlist. Hopefully you'll find some channels that talk about 2A issues. There's Heavy. Some 2A issues from an angle or from a point of view that you can match with. There's Big Gunner 81 does a show on Tuesdays. And if you find some shows in here, that's great. So, or some channels to watch, that's even better. So that's why we put that section on our site, on our GunChannels YouTube channel, so that people can dig in and take part in what I consider to be the most useful and powerful, potentially powerful tool we've got on YouTube. And whenever they take it away, don't even worry. Night Strike's already got it built over on guntube.org. So again, this is in no way a recommendation to use YouTube above any other platforms. YouTube's just big, and that's all. They're going to die one day like anything else would, and you don't need to be standing on them as your only egg in the basket, right? So head over to guntube.org, check out what Night Strike's building himself over on that Pro 2A video hosting platform. Check out gunstreamer.com and see what Austin and his guys are building out of Utah. Again, another Pro 2A free to use video hosting platform that in my opinion are both much better than YouTube. But while you are using YouTube or watching stuff on YouTube, we make it easy, hopefully, to find some of the best stuff out there. So if you'd like to be in that list and you'd like to have me on the show, I'm open and willing. And again, I'm very grateful to our Patreon supporters who allow me to have the time to jump into those shows. Contact us at gunwebsites@gmail.com if you've got a show and you'd like us to be a guest, like me to be a guest, and we'll talk. So that's the end of this video. Let us know in the comments what you think, and as always, thanks for watching.